What's going on? Welcome to the Blown Coverage Fantasy Football Podcast. I'm Waiver Wire Queen. Today's show, we are going to talk about some tight ends whose stock has gone through the roof, and a lot of reasons these tight end stock is up because of quarterback play. Maybe they've changed destinations, or maybe they're going to be the starting tight end on their team. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. And if you enjoy listening to the podcast, go on over to Spotify, Apple, and Google. Check us out over there and leave us a nice rating. Let's jump right into it. So we're just going to jump right into the tight end position. Tight end position, sometimes it's hard as hell. If you don't get the top guys, you always feel like, well, if I don't get the top guys, then it's not going to be a successful season at the tight end position. Not necessarily. There are some other tight ends who can help your team. And these guys have the opportunity to be very good and be consistent for your fantasy football team this upcoming season because of their situation. Let's start it off with the Denver Broncos. We all know what's going on in Denver. They got a quarterback, y'all. That's what I'm talking about. They have Russell Wilson. So with Russell Wilson, you have a chance. Everybody in Denver's stock is up in fantasy. Hell, the ball boy stock is up. My stock is up in Denver. I ain't going to play out there, but you guys understand what I'm saying. That's simply one of the reasons why Denver has been struggling. Quarterback. Need a quarterback. Well, guess what? They have one. And Russell Wilson. And this is why Albert O, because I don't want to hack up his name. This is why his stock is up for several reasons. Russell Wilson. I'd rather have Russell Wilson throwing the football to me on his worst day than Drew Lock on his best day. That is just what it is. That's what it is. And then also, they traded a very good young tight end in Noah Fant. They traded him to Seattle in the package to acquire Russell Wilson. So this obviously freed up the starting spot for Albert. And he was showing some good signs. But again, when you're second on the depth chart and you're not getting on the field as much, and then he had that season-ending injury. So that kind of, put a cap on his production. But sky is the limit this season. They may add another tight end, but I do believe this is his job. And Russell Wilson is going to get him the football. He simply is. Stats on the season: 40 targets, 33 receptions. Very efficient. 330 yards and 2 touchdowns. And he did this as a backup. Just imagine what he's going to do as the full-time starting tight end for the Denver Broncos with Russell Wilson in the building. That's right, y'all. Oh, my God. I'm very excited for all of skill players for the Broncos. Obviously, we know what's going to go down with Javonte Williams. I have him, and I talked about him on my stock up with running back. So go and check that video out. Obviously, I've been waiting for Jerry Jeudy to get a quarterback. And then Cortland Sutton is another good wide receiver. And then you have some other good wide receivers in Hamler. It's recovering from knee injury. And then you have Tim Patrick also as well, injuries too. But when on the field, they have played very well. So in a dynasty league, you most likely have them on your team because you pretty much are in a dynasty league that's a deep league, and there's probably not a lot of good players on waivers. So again, Alberto, pick him up, or you can take a chance on him late in the draft. He's not going to be going early in the draft. He's not going to even be the top. He's not going to be drafted as in the top 8 with tight ends. So check for him. David Njoku has a great opportunity for the Browns this season. Austin Hooper signed with the Titans. Now, let me back it up. The Browns released Austin Hooper because it hasn't worked out for several reasons. And they were retaining David Njoku. So Hooper obviously signs with the Titans. And then the Browns pull off the trade of the year, because there's been so many, and acquire Deshaun Watson. So you're like, woo, anybody on that team, their stock is up at the wide receiver spot, at the tight end spot, because now you have a legit quarterback throwing the damn football. And that's simply what's going to happen. Austin Hooper, solid with Atlanta, but bad decision to go sign with the Browns, because to me that kind of hurt his production a bit, because they're a run first team, and then Baker Mayfield's just, he's not that guy in my opinion at quarterback. Sorry for you Baker Mayfield fans, it is what it is. Waiver Wire Queen is just trying to be real. At the end of the day, David Njoku has the opportunity to produce this year. They have Cooper. Okay, that's pretty much it for me at wide receiver. Don't know what the other guys are gonna do. Maybe Donovan will step up. Maybe they'll bring in Will Fuller. I don't know. Maybe they'll draft someone. Maybe they'll re-sign Landry. I don't know. But I'm talking about as of today, you have Cooper, and then next up in line, if I'm Watson, is I'm trying to get the ball to David Njoku. Athletic tight end, has the potential in the world, but been inconsistent, and some of that was due to quarterback play and then bringing in someone else to start over him after you drafted him to be the starter. But that's the Browns for you. But nonetheless, he has the opportunity simply because, one, he's the starter, and then two, you have a legit quarterback who's going to get you the football. That's just what it is. So I'll be targeting Njoku. I have Watson, so I'm trying to figure out a way to get Njoku without having to give up too much in one of my dynasty leagues. On a season, 53 targets, 36 receptions, 475 yards, and 4 touchdowns. And that's for someone that most people were just like seeing on waivers. And they're like, I'm waving right by you on waivers. You're going to stay on waivers. But that's not bad considering, inconsistent quarterback play. At times, he got the nod over Hooper. It was a lot of inconsistencies at that tight end spot. But now we know what it's going to be, and it's going to be David Njoku. And then when you have Amari Cooper out there too as well, that's going to work. And maybe Peoples-Jones will step it up a bit. But at the end of the day, Njoku, okay, he has 475 yards. I'm wondering if they're going to utilize him a lot in the red zone. If they do, I can see those 4 touchdowns easily going to 7, maybe 8. And I want to see those yardage go up to about 550, 600. We're going to push it and say 600. We just got to see when Watson is able to get on the field. That's what we need to see. Now let's talk about Austin Hooper. Released by the Browns. Didn't go well. That just was a disaster. And it just wasn't a good move for him. Picked up by the Titans, who needed a tight end. They let their tight end go, Jonnu Smith. We all thought his replacement was going to step it up. Didn't work. Some of that is just Ryan Tannehill. And then also they are a run-first team. So there'll be some type of cap on his production. But I do expect him to produce more than what he did last season with the Browns and just overall with the Browns. You'll see him have a better season statistically with the Titans than he has in any season with the Browns. And he may end up being that guy who's going to see more touchdowns in the red zone, especially if they're not running the ball to Derrick Henry. You may see it. Again, stock is up simply because I feel like Tannehill was a better quarterback than Baker Mayfield. So I feel like, again, the production will be there. Just imagine if he would have stuck around for Watson. But nonetheless, poor quarterback play pretty much hurt his stats and his fantasy value in all formats of fantasy football because of the Baker Mayfield situation. I'll tell you, I had Austin Hooper. I've had him in this dynasty league I'm in. This is my rebuild league. This is the team that's just struggling, and I'm just deep in a rebuild. And I simply been holding on to him. I've been lowballed with, I'll give you a 5th, I'll give you a 4th maybe. And this is a 2 tight end premium move. 2 tight ends, guys. So I'm like, I'm just going to hold on to Austin. I don't care what y'all throw at me. I'm going to hold on to him. So I woke up to a trade for Austin Hooper, and I'm like, why is he offering me? But he was only offering me 2/3. I'm like, why is somebody offering me trade for Austin Hooper out of the blue? And then I'm like, I was like, I may take this trade, but I may counter and ask for something better. And then I was like, no, let me just see what the heck is going on, and always check and see what's going on before you make any trade, because you may not get the notification that something has occurred because you could have been sleeping and just woke up and, like everyone else does in fantasy, looked at your phone and then a move occurred. So I looked and Austin Hooper signed with the Titans, and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna wait because I think I can get more, especially as the season goes on, if he's able to produce. Because if he produces, they'll, to me, re-sign him. Well, at least they should. So be smart with that, y'all. Always check the current news on that player before you make a trade. I don't care who it is, because I was about to trade him and it would have still been an okay trade based on what he has done over the last 3 years, but I'm envisioning what he's going to do this season, so I can probably get more for him. Now the trade is still on the table, but I'm just holding back. But nonetheless, just Austin Hooper, stock up. Gerald Everett is on my list. He was on my list last year and he disappointed. Injuries, obviously Wilson not playing, it just was a disaster, which is why he's no longer with the Seattle Seahawks. But obviously they have a nice young stud tight end, so that's another reason. He signs with the Chargers. Stock all the way up, y'all. Up. And you know why? Justin. I don't even need to say the last name. Y'all know Justin? That's right. One of my favorite young quarterbacks in the NFL. In my top 5. Go check out my top 10 quarterback rankings. He is in my top 5. And it should be a very good season for him. I'm sorry. If he can remain healthy, he will be in the mix. At least, if nothing else, in the red zone. He is a tight end that you can get late. Hell, he may be on waivers in a one tight end league, and I would take a chance on him. Now, in a deep 2 tight end premium league, no, he's most likely not available. So, if you are drafting in your redraft, or if you're in a startup dynasty league, you can target him late because no one's going to be just picking him and reaching for him early on in the draft. And if you're not valuing the tight end spot, he may be able to be productive. I had some high expectations for him last season, and he had similar stats compared to his last season with the Rams. So it was just like, okay, well, you did the same thing and you had more of an opportunity. So again, with him, I say caution, warning. He may do the same, but he also may exceed the expectations that most have for him because he's playing with Justin Herbert. They're going to be throwing that football. He's going to have the opportunity. I do expect this year for him to take advantage of the opportunity. On the season, 63 targets, 48 receptions, 478 yards, 4 touchdowns. Better than what I thought he did. I honestly thought that his season was a disaster. Just looking at the games, and then once I look at his stats, I was like, it wasn't as bad as I expected. I expect him to be better because he has the opportunity again. Don't let Waiver Wire Queen down, Everett. I expect him to get at least 550, maybe 600 yards, and I want to see those touchdowns go up to 6. It's not impossible. Let's talk about Kylen Granson, tight end with the Colts. This is one of those players I put in my on my list of practice squad players where you just never know. You take a chance and you may hit on that player and it may pay off. Now, I drafted him in my dynasty league, the league that my team is in full rebuild, and I have quite a few tight ends. I got Kyle Pitts, I got Brevin Jordan, I have Hooper, and I have Tremble, and I got an offer for him. Now, I already knew his situation, so I was high on him, but I got an offer for him, and based on what he did last season and what I'm planning on doing in this upcoming draft, I'm like, okay, I can move on for him. It's a 2 tight end league. I got a third for him, and I was pleased with that because I probably got him in like, what, 4th or 5th round last year, probably the 5th round. Yeah, so didn't have a great rookie year. 15 targets, 11 recs, 106 yards. Obviously, he was 3rd on the chart. You had, obviously, Jack Doyle, out there. Doyle has retired. Mo Ali Cox had a better season last year, and Mo Ali Cox just signed a nice deal with the Colts, so he's still going to be in the mix. They may split work, but I do believe that Granson will be more in the mix this season. And again, this is a player I have on my practice squad, which means it can go left, it can go right, it can go up, it can go crazy, or it can go great. And they will say you were the GM of the year for making this move. So the guy who traded for him, he'll look like a genius, and I'll look crazy as hell. But again, I have a plan for that pick. And I had some players I had to move off, clear off my roster anyway. So he was a part of my future, but he wasn't. It was like fourth on my list with the tight ends I currently had on my roster. So I wasn't hurt with moving him, but if he turned into Travis Kelce, which he ain't, but if he do, I'm gonna be hurt. But no, yeah. Again, he's my wild card, dark horse, deep league, sleeper, low key, has a chance. And if you take a chance on him, don't come back at me if he don't play well. Y'all don't come over here if he don't play well, okay? But if he do, y'all better come on over here and shout Waiver Wire Queen out, y'all. Let's talk about Hayden Hurst. Up and down career, pretty much. Thought he was going to have a great season when he first signed with Atlanta. They got Pitts, so you were pushed to the side because, you're going to be put to the side when you draft Kyle Pitts in the top 5 of a draft. And he's a generational tight end. Hayden Hurst signs with the Bengals. He should be the starter. He's going to be the starter. Drew Sample just hasn't, taken advantage of his opportunities. Hayden Hurst is going to be the starter. He played 13 games this past season, 31 targets, 26 receptions, 221 yards. This is the lowest since his rookie season. But again, when you got Kyle Pitts, Hayden who? That's what it was with Atlanta, but they ain't have enough wide receivers. We gotta line him up at wide receiver. No, don't do that. But nonetheless, three touchdowns. It should be better for him. He's going to have a similar role as CJ Uzomah, which to me it's going to be hit or miss. It'll be hit or miss, but those games where Uzomah played very well, it was very, very well. The production was great. And then there were some games where it wasn't. You got to remember, Jamar Chase is in the building. Higgins is in the building. Boyd is in the building. So he's fourth. You got 3 top wide receivers, and then you got the tight end. So he should be productive. And if you are in a 2 tight end league, he's definitely on your roster. He simply is, especially if you're in a deep league. If you have Joe Burrow, then you can go and grab him late. Definitely a sleeper tight end this season, and he better make sure that he produces. Go on out there and produce for Waiver Wire Queen, Hayden. Don't play those games with me in fantasy. And Tyler Conklin signs with the Jets. I was like, what? Signs with the Jets? Obviously, the Vikings have high hopes that Smith will come back and have a good season. Conklin played a very good season for the Vikings. Played all 17 games, 87 targets, 61 receptions, 593 yards, 3 touchdowns, all career highs. Career highs with the Vikings. Now he's going to go over and play for the Jets with a young quarterback who we are hoping is taking the next step and is going to be a better quarterback, which will help Michael Carter, Elijah Moore, who was on his way to a great season before he got hurt. We're going to hope for that. Conklin should be his security blanket. To me, I feel like they're short a wide receiver out there. I think if they add a wide receiver and Zach Wilson can take the next step, this will help everybody be more productive in fantasy. Conklin, I like him as a tight end in fantasy. Late rounder. Love him as a tight end. I'll say I'll love him as a tight end. And if you have Zach Wilson, go on and pair him up with Zach Wilson because they're going to get him the ball. It's going to be that security blanket at times, especially if they don't add another wide receiver. He's definitely going to see a lot of volume. So if you can identify him as a tight end in the draft, like when you are preparing for your draft, you have your draft board, you have the players you want and some late sleepers that you want to take a chance on. And if you do with Conklin, I'm not mad at you. I would think it would be a good move because and not everyone is going to get Kels, Pitts, Andrews, Hockenson, if he can stay healthy and produce, and Waller. We're not going to get those top guys. You may not even get Goddard, Schultz. You may not get some of these guys who have been producing and who played very, very well last season. So you got to look for the other guys who have the opportunity to produce based on their current situation and make it work. May pan out for you. And one of my Dynasty 2 tight end premium leagues, they give an additional, I think it's 0.75 for the tight end position. So that helps a little. If there's more of an incentive in a 2 tight end league, that will help the tight ends who obviously are not Kels and Pitts, but he can be very productive. So if I have Wilson in a dynasty league and say I can't get any of his wide receivers, I can't get Elijah Moore, and if they draft anyone else, staying away from Corey Davis all day. Staying away. I said stay away from him. If you didn't stay away from him last year, you stay away from him this year. Very solid production, but the players I want on the Jets, if I have Wilson, I want Carter, I want Conklin, and I want Moore. And if they can add one of these very young, talented wide receivers in this draft, I want them too. But again, Conklin is a very good add to pair up with Wilson, especially if you can't get Moore. His stock is up. Had a very good season last year. Expect him to build on that season this year with the Jets. Y'all make sure you go on and subscribe to the YouTube channel. Also, leave some comments and let me know what tight ends you feel have the opportunity to take the next step or their stock is up this season. Make sure you hit that like button and share the show. And if you enjoy listening to the podcast, go on over to Spotify, Google, and Apple. Enjoy listening and leave a 5-star rating for the Blown Coverage Fantasy Football Podcast. Y'all have a great evening. Peace.
Thanks for listening to the Blown Coverage Fantasy Football Podcast. Be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel at Blown Coverage Fantasy Football Podcast.